Sorry, I know I can't touch the desk too much.
But do the intro. Do the intro.
What am I doing?
The Jaime
It's the Jaime and Balin show.
Yes. That's new. I just made that up.
Right. So, what do you want to talk about today? Game dev.
Game dev.
Game dev. Game development for indie developers.
And you have more experience with that than I do. You already have 3 games on your website. I have 0.
Yeah. Well, tomato. You get there. I mean, it's not something there. Anyways, yeah. No, I think one of the questions that I get asked all the time is, hey, which language do you use? Which language is better? Which language should I use first? And or which engine? Which engine is better? And
it's Unity.
Now, right now, Unity seems to be extremely popular because they made everything free. But to answer the question, I think any language that you feel comfortable with and any engine that you feel comfortable with works, as long as you stick to it.
Right, because you have C++ and I'm learning C#.
C#, yes.
And then hopefully JavaScript after I'm done with C#.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, once you know C#, once you feel comfortable with C#, the rest, any language, I mean, it'll come easy to you because then you're like, oh, I know how to use sound
languages.
Well, no, yeah,
how to speak fluently in short.
Yeah, but the
techno-bread, you know we need
the lingo, the lingo, as in like like the fork conditions, the if statements, variables, scripts, commanders, emitters, etc. Then once you know one language, then you're like, oh, I know how to do this. So yeah. So I think for anybody who starts right now in game dev, it needs to be like
programming.
Well, yeah.
Learn programming.
Yes.
And then I feel like modeling is right up next. That's why I got Maya to start learning. I haven't done anything.
If you start by yourself and there's no one that can help you out with graphics or any media sides of the game dev, then take the role. There's Maya out there. Photoshop. There's
Photoshop also has animation in there, which was pretty neat.
What's the one besides Maya?
Blender.
Blender's
completely free.
It's free, yeah, and it's pretty good, I think. And there's a tons more. There's a lot more. That as long as the engine that you are using can be compatible with the other software to do graphics. Like if I'm using Maya and then I can export PNGs or any their file name, I can use it with my engine. Then I think you're set up. That's it. You're good. You're good to go.
And you've made 8-bit so far. You've made a Flappy Bird about a bat.
I made a Flappergus, which is Norwegian for bat. And then I made a clone. I entered a game jam once when Flappy Bird came down because the creator took it down. Then online they were saying, let's make a clone of Flappy Bird. Like let's do a game jam and see who can make the best clone of Flappy Bird. So I'm like, I don't want to do a bird again, so let's just do a metal version of Flappy Bird. So it's a bat.
Yes,
it's a bat. So
Batman.
But yeah, I mean, there's Game Maker, there's Unity, there's RPG Maker, there's Unreal Tournament, there's Pygame, which I think is brand new. There's something Salad.
Game Salad.
Yeah, is that what it's called?
I don't know, but
Game Salad. There's a lot of there's a few that now are coming out. I mean, brand new engines that don't require much programming, but I wouldn't say start with those. Start with something that you can program and you can also not program. Like if you can use an engine like Unity, which you can,
and they do have tutorials.
Yeah, you can
start with the tutorial
and
then just branch out from there. Like start with the game that you made from the tutorial, and just see if something else works or add this in. But like, I figured just build a foundation and then go from there.
Yeah, I mean, there's another way of learning on your own. It's you can go to online and you can just Google this, and then you can just join a board, and then game board board. But if you can download a template of any game, like if you want to do a platformer, so download a platformer template that you can look at the code and you can kind of browse through the whole scripts, and then you can be like, okay, this is the gravity, or this dash to move left and right and jumping or whatnot. Then you can be like, oh, okay, so this is how they did it,
and you won't get in trouble for pressing buttons.
Yeah, exactly. That's
I press a lot of buttons.
A good way to like learn and feel comfortable with your programming skills. And I think if you see somebody else's codes, then you can understand how coding needs to be formatted. You can't just code the entire script of the gravity in just one line. That's just ridiculous.
But you should probably maintain it to one class, right?
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people who just, it's like they're just typing just one-liners.
One line of code?
Yeah, I mean, like you know how
one block.
Yeah, one block, but
it's
just
inside
one
everything
line.
else.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, and then
that's a little scary.
It is scary. I mean, there's rules. I call them rules. Like you have to know and learn how to format your codes for your own good, and if you want help, and then
other people have to read it too.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah. I know you're using Unity and Maya.
Well, I'm using Unity. I got Maya to learn it, but I have not got to it yet. I have been learning Photoshop, how to animate in Photoshop, and it's a lot of work animating frame by frame,
yeah,
but it is fun.
I mean, there's shortcuts, like, I mean, people use layers and then they fuse the layers with the you just said
I know exactly what you're talking about.
You just said it.
Layers,
frames,
and
frames. Yeah, but I mean, yeah, there's a lot. I mean, you have your Cintiq, so you have your shortcuts, and then you can just delete and copy and whatever and paste. So that's I think that's super handy on, like, some people just have the
tablet,
and then just like, oh, I messed up. You know, whatever.
Snarf.
So yeah.
I started with a tablet, but that was like years and years ago, and now it's Cintiq. I mean, apparently there's cheaper versions that are like this. It's just not made by Wacom.
Oh.
But it is nice to have a screen that you can write on, because that way I just don't write too tiny or too big.
How far did you get with Unity? Like, I know you did a space shooter.
I did Space Shooter. I did like a simple rollerball tutorial that was on their website, and it was super simple. And then I made a game that was, I bought a book to make a cool like adventure game when you're stuck on an island. You have to like light the fire,
right.
and that was cool. And then I started working on something as practice where you're stuck at your parents' house and you have to escape the weekend. I don't know. It was terrible. I was just learning how to like open doors on my own, just program classes, reusable scripts, I guess.
I know then when you started getting into programming, you started making games in 3D, like right off the bat.
Right off the bat.
Now, in my opinion, that's like jumping, like you skipped the first steps, but it seems like it worked for you.
Well, I mean, that's how the book did it. That's how a lot of Unity stuff do it. I didn't see any like 2D, like I didn't see any 2D tutorials for Unity, so I just jumped straight into 3D. Now, eventually, I do want to do a 2D side scroller.
So,
but a heavy metal bard.
So you think that would you recommend people that are just now starting to get into the whole game dev world to just start like from scratch, like if you want like I know you wanted 3D because you wanted to do a 3D game, so do you think that's an okay thing to do, like, hey, I'm just gonna dive into 3D? Why not?
I mean, with Unity at least, 3D is not a big inconvenience because you have a lot of tutorials out there already, it's kind of preset. So yeah,
I'm trying to poke myself.
I haven't had 2D yet, but I'm pretty sure it's a pretty easy transition because it's basically just between an isometric camera and a pano.
Yeah. I know. In Unity, you deal with all the angles to do 3D, and if you want to do a 2D game with Unity, you just set the camera
isometric, or I forget what the other one is. You should know this.
Well, I don't know. Like, again, that was my next point. Like I know you use Unity, I use GameMaker and C++, and I know the lingo is different, but it's the same thing. But it's like you use camera views, or the angles. The angles. I say views, but there's a word something. Views, but it's the same thing. Yeah, it's the same thing. So again, it's just learning the lingo or the slang of the different types of languages that are out there to program and make your games. Yeah, what now it's bothering me that it's dynamic views.
Dynamic views. You're so smart.
Dynamic views. Yeah, that one.
I'm not gonna bother looking it up because you're so smart.
And I think also like something that people don't talk about, and they're who are developers, and it's like oh, I'm a developer, I won't tell you the secrets. And
then I say, why reinvent the wheel? If somebody figures out how to get something to work, use it.
But one thing they don't talk about, it's like, okay, once you finish your game, now you're like, okay, it's fun, it's my game, I like it, it's the best game in the world because it's my game, I think it's the best game in the world.
But how do you get it out there? I'm the winner. Do I win a car?
What are your suggestions on how to get it out there?
This guy knows more about social media than I do. He's on Twitter all the time. So obviously Twitter, maybe some Instagram stuff. Show some clips on YouTube, Facebook page, and just because you have those things, actually update it at least once a day. Now Instagram can automatically go to your Facebook. And you can do that through, like, if you can get Twitter picture, it can go, you link. If you tweet something, it can automatically go to your Facebook, and it can automatically go to your Instagram.
Yeah,
that's 3 birds right there.
I think if you start to expose as early as possible with like your game and the process, like if you start to if you draw something. And then it's a good sketch, and then okay, this is a sketch of the enemy, and this is a sketch of the boss. So take a picture,
click,
or take a screenshot, whatever you're using.
Screenshot, but it didn't happen.
Yeah, and then upload it to Instagram, and then after that you can go to Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, whatever, I don't remember. And then that way you just spam your friends with it, but you
like my stuff.
But you expose your process, and then people can take you more seriously. If there's a lot of people who say, "Oh, I'm a game developer and I'm making this great game," and they
don't do anything.
Well, yeah, but they don't. They just post a screenshot like every once in a while, and people I'm like, well, that looks cool, but what's
what is it exactly that you're working on right now?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's also a good way if you try to get funding to get your game out. And
actual progress report.
Yeah,
don't just take a screenshot Saturday.
Exactly. You're taking notes. If you're taking notes on your phone
blog
or whatever, put it out there on a blog or your website or your Twitter or whatever. Take a picture. Be like, hey, I was writing ideas. Twitter, whatever, and hashtag it. Hashtag Black Unicorns. Hashtag whatever.
No, it's this. This is a hashtag.
Hashtag. This reminds me of the old school. Never mind. You know what I'm talking
I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
Hashtag everything. Hashtag,
which is the pound sign for everybody who's 25 and older.
Yeah. So no, I think expose yourself. I mean, that sounds weird, but expose yourself as much as possible. If you are serious about getting the word out there, because when you start working on a game, or you just now beginning into just now diving into the whole game dev thing, you need a lot of money to publicist and you know, all that, yeah, all that crap. Like you don't. I mean,
and to pay for ads if you want to do ads. I mean, sometimes I haven't used them all that often, but if you have the money, I don't see how they wouldn't hurt.
If you have the money, by all means, make it rain. But I just now noticed that. But you know, like I'll tell you straight up, I don't have zero money to spend on any of that. So that's why I'm always on Twitter. That's why I'm always updating my blog, my Facebook. It's because I'm doing the advertising like on my own. So,
okay.
So but there's YouTube. You can take and make a quick video on YouTube. You can make a quick video of your game or your process, or you know, Twitch, and be like, I'm working on this. This is the best game ever, and then put it on Twitch live stream, and then you get followers, and then if you're ready, and then you think, oh man, I need to quit my job because it's a shitty job, and I need to like really work on this game. Then you can start crowdfunding, and then you already have a fan base that you built before. So
and I mean, working on a game means working on the game, not playing other games, seeing how it goes, or even like, I understand like people are busy. I work full-time myself. He's busy. We've got
jobs on the side to pay bills, but we also work on the game as well.
And sometimes that means staying up and working 16 hours and not having fun playing a game or finally masturbating. Carry on.
Yeah, like Balin says, treat it as a
job,
business,
a second job.
Yeah. Like
which job did you want? Do you want to work at your regular job,
or a shitty job? Because you know it's a shitty job.
Yeah, and game dev is a job, so you're gonna be working on it. And if you want it to succeed, you gotta treat it like a job.
Like pound the crap out of that.
Punch it.
If you have a girlfriend, you know what I mean. You can't just be like, if you have a girlfriend and you are a game developer, or you're starting to be a game developer, make sure
don't use pound in the same
make sure that your girl knows, or your man knows, that hey, this is a job too. Because I know me and you have gone through a lot of issues with the ladies where we're working on something and they're like, how come you don't take me out? And be like, bitch, because I'm working on this.
I'm working.
Yeah. So I mean, and if you're lucky, then you can maybe find
somebody who wants to work along with you.
Exactly. Damn it.
You were so loud.
Yeah, that's gonna.
You're playing with something.
That's gonna be Anyways, but I know a lot of people are saying, "Oh man, I'm gonna make this game," or "I'm working on this game," or "I already made a game, so I'm gonna put it on."
Game Jolt, right?
Well, yes, but that was my point. But Steam. Yeah, Steam right now.
Like greenlighted.
I'm suppressed Steam right now. It's still online and it's still running, because right now Steam has been having a lot of issues.
This is news to me.
Well, right now, what they're doing right now, it's, you know, there's you know, you can make the biggest, most awesome game there is, and people don't know about it. Only you and your friends and your mommy and daddy. And then you say, okay, you know what? I'm gonna pay, which because they charge you. It's a one charge fee, but it's $100. It's $100. It's $100. Thank you. It's $100, and like I said before,
I would totally do that though.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you have the money, sure. But if you don't, because here's the catch: it's a one-time fee, and then you can, after that, you can submit as many games as you want. But
that's not bad.
But here's the catch: your game is not guaranteed to A, be greenlit, and B, to be sponsored or featured on the main site. So let's say that I pay the $100. Yeah, let's say that I pay that, and then I submit my game, and then they say, okay, we're gonna give you a page on the greenlight page. Write down the info, screenshots, videos, what you have of your game, and just put it out there. So there I am. I'm filling the entire page. I put screenshots. I put the video and everything. I paid the fee, and then the way Greenlight works, which most people should know, it's you go there and you browse, and then you're like, okay, yeah, and then you're like, okay, I like this game. And
which reminds me of Reddit. If you can get on Reddit, you can get popular on Reddit. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, But then the way it works and the way it gets greenlit, it's if people click, oh, I like this game, I like this game, I like this game, I like it a lot. And it's not just like, oh, a few 20, a few hundred. No, it's like they want that button to be clicked up like a bunch of times, where eventually Steam is gonna say, you know what, oh, you know, this game that Mr. Balin made is getting a lot of attention. Let's put it on the site.
On a pedestal.
Yeah, and then they can download it. So, and now they're doing where you can crowdfund, like you can get like a Kickstarter. So let's say that I have my game on the Greenlight website. It's not available yet to download because nobody knows about it. And then I'm asking people, please donate money so I can...
Right there from Steam?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, yeah. I read a story where people were saying they were asking money, they were asking for donations on the page, because you can edit your page and you can add anything that you want,
including a hyperlink to
Kickstarter. Or to a PayPal or whatever.
Okay.
So people were giving money to these people, and then they said, I want $50,000, and then they met that cap, and then they got more. So then what they did was like, well, I have the money that I wanted, I don't need to work on the game. So then they stopped working on the game.
That's
and
evil.
Thank you. And the backers got like
jacked.
What? So I know Steam was having some issues with that, and I'm surprised they're still up and they're not being sued or whatever. But don't do that. Don't do that. Like I said, and plus Steam, when you go into, not to shit on Steam, because I do like Steam, I use Steam, but you know, right now they're not being 100% truthful to the game developers, because you know, now once you do all that and to have it greenlit, you have to advertise on your own. So again, you pay the fee and then you have to advertise on your own.
Well, I mean, that's fine. I mean, Steam shouldn't be able to do everything. I mean, game developers still have to wear many hats, and that's what you sign up for.
Well, my point with that was, now there are indie websites that are made by indie game developers for indie game developers. So like GameJolt, itch.co, and there was one that shut down because I think they were bought or they were absorbed by GameJolt, but it was called Indiviana. And then these websites, they help you 100%. They know you are pretty much a game developer from zero, and they understand that you have no money and you have no advertising and you have
How do they help you advertise?
They give you a site, a page, where you write down the info of your game, what consoles or platforms it's going to be available for.
Okay.
And it's not like Steam, like, oh, you have to get many likes to get a feature. No, you put your game, it's already available to download, and you know, whatever. And then if they put ads, that's the thing. Like, I don't care, but they put small ads. So if I click play your game, because some games can be played right
there. You see an ad before you play the game, which is okay.
Which is okay.
It's still live, and you don't have to pay for bandwidth.
And here's the thing: you get revenue from that ad. So if
seems pretty cool to me.
So if 1 million people go to the site, to the page of your game, just by going to the site alone, you get views, and then those views turn into revenue, and you start making revenue right away, and you can take that revenue anytime you want and use that to work on your game. And then
between that, YouTube and Twitch and
and then if you have a Twitter page, which GameJolt, they don't make you have one, but they like strongly suggest to make a Twitter page and then our account. And then once you tweet, check my new game, this link, hashtag GameJolt, hashtag indie game, whatever, that hashtag, there's a bot, there's a robot built by GameJolt. That robot is gonna spam all over the indie world. I get tweets, like I get like on my news feed on Twitter.
A lot of bots follow you.
It says oh, this person have retweeted whatever, and then I'm like, oh, this seems like a cool game, so I go and check it out, and I go to the site, and then they get likes and views.
And a lot of people like don't like bots, but I mean, if it works for you,
yeah, no, I mean,
why not?
Yeah, I mean, come on, like, I mean, if a tiny robot is gonna help me get more advertising for my game, then yeah,
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, so I'm okay with that. So that was my point with the whole how to game your game out there. GameJolt.com, game GAME Jolt JOLT.com, and itch.co. So those two websites I highly recommend. I know there's more now.
And Patreon was pretty cool. I sent you a link to Patreon.
Yeah, well, I mean, I knew about you know, but it's like a Kickstarter without the whole LLC, without the whole.
Yeah, it's a lot of trouble. I mean, it's not as much trouble. But basically, you just say, "Hey, I'm working on a webcomic," or "Hey, I'm making a game. This is a project, and this is how much money I would like to have for this to complete this project." And people can donate, or they can regularly donate each time you do a webcomic. Like, let's say a webcomic takes you every 2 weeks, every 1 week, whichever. And you say, okay, well, if you want to donate $3 every time I do a webcomic, I'll finish one, and then you'll be charged when I complete that comic and start another one. So the same thing would go for video games, or even like if you're into NC stuff, crafts. So people will help you. They will donate money per project. Yeah. So you get money per project. If you finish a game, you keep that money, and then you can ask people for another video game project. And with webcomics, I've seen that very popular because they finish it every week. And I've seen where people get $700 on one webcomic.
Yeah, I know there's this guy who also comes from the game development world, and he had a Patreon website, and he was getting around $700 to $800 a month, and that's how he was able. That was his job. He was able to pay the electric bill and his, some of the bills to support his house and to support him,
right?
Because he was, you can do anything. You can do webcomics, you can do games, but this guy was doing lessons. He was doing YouTube videos on
how to do stuff.
On how to do stuff. So,
and I mean, I feel like it's free for him to do that.
Yeah. But
he'll do it anyway, whether you pay or not. It's just, it helps when you donate.
Yeah. So another thing that people like the backers, like let's say that Balin starts a Kickstarter or a GoFundMe.com or a Patreon, whatever. It's a good way to give rewards. Like if he starts a campaign to help his game or webcomic, and he's asking for $5 donations, $10, $20, $50, $100, whatever, you can give rewards per that amount. So if I give $5, he can make a quick sketch and say thank you and send that to me. If I give him $20, he can do the quick sketch and say thank you and maybe do something else, like
early access.
Yeah, exactly.
To a game development blog or something like that.
Yeah, like.
But the trick I have is how morally flexible would you be sharing the same rewards with somebody on Patreon and Kickstarter? Mm-hmm. I mean, if you're paying the same amount, that's fine. But like, let's say Kickstarter, somebody pays $5, you say thank you. You'll be a special thanks in the credits, and you do the same thing for Patreon. How would you feel about that? Like the same rewards for the same payment level?
If it's the same amount, yes, I wouldn't care. But I mean, if I were to if I see that if I pay $5 on Kickstarter and I get a thank you, and I see that you have a Patreon or whatever sites, and
they're getting the rewards for cheaper,
then I'll be like, what the hell, dude? But so again, don't do that. Don't try to cheap scam your fan base. Don't angry your fan base, because once you screw your fan base, you're
that's screwed. Your game. That's how you get your game to take off.
Yeah, you're done. Take for example Phil Fish. That's all I'm gonna say. Phil Fish. That's it. People know about Phil Fish.
I know about Phil Fish.
He's an a-hole. So,
but only because we saw that movie.
Indie Game, the movie. A movie that I highly suggest for people.
If you haven't already seen it.
Yeah. Kind of helps your mentality to do. Oh, okay. So this isn't just fun and games.
It's work.
there's
and
there's
it's a little scary.
Yeah, there's
it's a lot scary at times.
There's moments where you might lose everything, and then you think, this is it, I'm done. But no, I mean, you gotta push forward. But back to the subject, yeah, just make sure that you give rewards or give something back to your fan base, to your backers, if you decide to do a funding online or whatever. Another thing that I notice people like, it's if you like, obviously for higher donations, if I were to give $50 or $100, then some people, no, I'm not saying like they'll do it, but like I would do it. If I were to do something like that, I would like to, like, if you give me $50, I'll put you in the game. Like, I'm gonna make a little character, yeah, or like
what
NPC.
Tesla Effect did was they just took, like, they asked people to submit a photo along with their donation of like X or above, and they have like collages around the game, or just like picture frames like in the game.
Oh, that's cool.
And then instead of like pictures of stuff they put in the game,
That's
they put
cool.
the donator,
That's a great
donors'
idea.
pictures.
That's a great idea.
And it
I
was
like
pretty
that.
cool. A lot of people didn't put the two and two together that I saw play. They're like, what do these pictures mean? But it was really the donors.
I like that. I like that a lot. That's a great idea, actually. I mean,
It's efficient.
I would like to see, like, oh my god, that's my face in the game.
It's my face.
That's my face.
Hey, buddy. That's me.
That's me. Yeah, I mean, and
I'm all great.
I'm on Greg. But yeah, I mean, how often do you get to see yourself in a game, like your face, like, oh, that's a painting or whatever? So no, that's great.
So make sure it's a good one, and not your driver's license.
God, no, yeah, or yeah, don't do that, or your passport, don't do that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But no, that's great. So yeah, I mean, that's how you get your game out there. That's how you get funded.
Yeah, you start with programming. At least I feel that's the best way to start. Just learn programming.
Learn a language. Just pick a language and be like, hey, you know what? I like this. So give it a try. If you don't feel comfortable, switch to another one. Because some languages,
they're just not for you.
Yeah, and then they're different how you structure your code. Some people might not like how Java structures the code.
I don't. That's why I like C#.
Yeah.
It's very strongly written.
So exactly. So I mean, I know in C++ you have to be extremely detailed on what you're doing. If you want your game or the screen to display a message, you have to be extremely picky in detail what you're writing and what you're doing. So I mean, I like to do that because it keeps me organized and I know exactly what I'm doing. I know in the language Lua it can get messy and it still works. Like I know in C++, if you don't, once you finish your line of code, if you do not finish the line of code with a semicolon, then it's not gonna work. So those details are, people might not like it. It just happened.
Nothing.
But yeah, I mean, besides that, it's
and then like programming is great because you make the game and you can what's called gray box it and just put in whatever standard models you want, and then as you get your game to work, then you can work on putting better models or pictures in.
Yeah.
You just replace it with just some vanilla stuff that's already there.
Yeah. Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, don't let getting your super cool artwork get in the way of getting the game itself done. The mechanics and the programming is, I think, where it's at. And then when you're done and you enjoy the game as it already is, when you put in the graphics or the voiceovers and sounds to perfection, that's what I think is the fluff, the polishing up.
Yeah, I to me that's like I can code the basics, like the structure, the backbone of a game, and I can make the mechanics, jumping, gravity, collisions, shooting, moving left and right, what have you, power-ups, whatever. That's fine. But to me, the polishing state, it's the most fun that I get, because then I can, again, like if I'm working with voiceovers, I'm adding voiceovers and sounds, and now that I coded a collision effect, and then I added the graphics, and then every time a player collides with a wall, it makes an animation, and it looks like, oh, it got hurt. But then once you add the sound, then it's, oh, you can see it being hurt, and you can hear it being hurt, and things like that. Polishing the game after all that is like, okay, now what else needs to be tweaked,
right,
around. So
sometimes you have to work on a particular section and say, okay, I'm finally satisfied with that. I cannot be obsessed over this part of the game, and I can finally get myself to the next level. Yeah,
make sure that you, and I know you're good at it, make sure that you make notes and to-do lists.
Which is pretty cool, because at least C# within Visual Studio has like a code where you just put to do inside like your code block. Even though the code block's empty, you can just write to do, and in Visual Studio it'll say, hey, you have this area that you still need to do, and you can put in a comment and say,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's cool.
I did. That's pretty cool. I didn't know that. That's freaking that's cool.
And you know what else is cool? I forgot what they were called. They are like we put a hash, and then they're not enums, but they're like you put a hash and you can code and you can put it in a pocket. I forget what it's called. What is it called?
What?
We'll come back to that.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, I mean, that's, pick a language, pick an engine, design your game from scratch, get a pen and paper, and just
flashcards.
Yeah, just start either writing what the game might be about, or even drawing around, like your character and everything, and make sure that you have something handy with you at all times. I know you use your phone all the time, and you're like,
get my bucket list.
Yeah,
ideas.
So make sure that you write those down, because I know people, oh, I will remember this, but like me, I'm one of those people, oh, that's a great idea, I'll remember, and then a few minutes later, I'm like,
I'll forget.
Shit, what was that about? Yeah, what happened? So,
or even like voice recording. That's on your phone. Everything's on your phone.
Yeah, you can use everything on your phone. Like, hey, like whatever. Shopping list, like mayo, mustard. Be like, oh, I gotta do collision effects or particles or background particles or backgrounds or whatever. Like, oh, I gotta do animations today. And if you take the role of the programmer, game design, sound engineer, animations, whatever, if you decide to take the role of all of those, then make sure that you do write those down. So like, oh, like you do your own schedule. Like
today I'm going to program, tomorrow I'm going to work on animation, the next day I'm just going to take ideas for other levels or scenes, as some people call them. I mean, in my game, I'm
not saying work your ass off, which yes, do it, but like any job, any business, take a day off to refresh.
Because it does help, because I've worked all night on a project and I finally went to bed, and the next day I was like, oh, so easy, I can do this.
Yeah, I mean, it
doesn't work for some people. Like Joanna, she works all the way through, but for me, if I just work on it the next day after taking a break, I'm good to go.
Yeah, like I know with me, like I do need a break sometimes, and you've seen me, sometimes I look like a freaking zombie. I look like I'm dead.
And it's because the green hair.
It's because I'm working so much, and then I get so frustrated, and I'm just like, I gotta finish this, but then I have to I have to force myself to take a break. I go out, I try to be social. Now I'm old enough to buy a drink, an alcoholic beverage. So
favorite chocolate milk, and
chocolate milk is awesome. That the chocolate milk for us is like our fuel, and waffles and pancakes and breakfast food. That's what works for us. But sometimes, every now and then, to just get the frustration out, because sometimes you're stuck in a code, or you're stuck on something and you can't figure it out.
Yeah.
Or you're stuck in a room, then it's good just to go out, get a pint, a couple of shots, and just puke your
Joy puke.
Stress.
Joy puke,
Yeah.
your stresses,
Your stresses.
and your intentions.
And then the next morning you're all hungover, and then you're like, I gotta work.
Or you could just, stay inside or go outside and play another video game. Completely different.
Yeah. Playing games also helps, but to me, I cannot play a game more than an hour.
Because then I feel guilty that I'm working on my game.
Exactly.
That's true.
I'm like, oh, I should be working.
Or I could be doing this in my game. So sometimes I get ideas, but after like half an hour of writing down ideas as I play, I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
I got a whole bunch of. I got like 10 ideas. It's time to stop playing. Get back to the game. So sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, like, I got that game, Elder Scrolls Online. I played like 3 times. I'm still level 6, and all the people that got the game as well are like level 20 something now. And I'm like, how do you find the time to do this? And it's again like I'm working on the game, or I'm playing the game or something like that. I'm like I need to get. I feel guilty. I feel like I'm wasting time away. And to me, I wish I had more time, because I'm always looking for time, and I'm always like.
Or rather, something to fund your time.
Yeah, like today, all day I've been up and down. Like I was working, I was coding, then I had to meet a friend to fix my website, which was broken, and then after that I came over here to do the recording. So it's like today I actually feel like I've did something. Today I feel like I got a lot of stuff done. So today was a good day, and I'm not tired. There's days where I'm just like,
that's another thing. Like, if you feel like you're not doing something, I like my website because I can keep a blog up and say, hey, these are my goals right here on my website, my immediate goals, and then I have a blog that says, hey, this is what I'm working on, this is what I'm doing next in my game. So sometimes if you're feeling down, like you're not, sometimes it takes a long time to game dev, especially learn new things. So I feel like have a journal or a blog and go back and say, hey, I forgot that it took me forever to do that. I'm glad.
And then make sure also, this is a rookie mistake. It's not a mistake, it's a rookie habit that a lot of people tend to just make or just have. Once you start making a game, and once you start programming, and you realize that your code works, and then you realize that you can make this character move left and right, up
that's
and down.
That's a lot of things. That's something a lot of people can't do.
Yeah, and once you start doing that, and once you start noticing that it works, and that you code, and then it just throws something back at you, then you get excited. And once you start making a game, and then you're like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna pause this project because I just got a great idea for another game, so I'm gonna start working on that.
No,
and then
don't do it.
And then you do that for another game. So don't do that. Just make sure that you write those ideas down. Like I said before, write them down for the next game, your next project. But then make sure that you finish that one project, because I've been there. I try to do everything at once. I try to work on 5 games at once. Not gonna happen. I can tell you this right now. Not gonna happen. And back in the day, I had more free time. Right now, I'm busy. So once you finish that one game,
at least the whole first level, so you have something as a demo, maybe.
Yeah. But I mean, finish that game. And once you finish that game, then you can, trust me, it's gonna feel a lot better to say, I finished that from 0 to this. It's complete. It's out. You can download it. It feels great.
And you can show it off.
Yeah.
It might suck, but it's still a game that somebody has not done.
Yeah.
Doesn't even know how to.
Yeah, I mean, once you start making games, once you start to program, you're not gonna make bad games. Just make sure that that's why you always work. Make games. Make sure that you get those